What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Aliyah and this is CraftsByAliyah. For today's video, the materials you're going to need are a 2.75mm hook, a 4mm hook, and some scissors, and also some measuring tape. And the stitches that we used in today's tutorial are a double crochet and a single crochet. So for today, this is part 2 of this tutorial. We're going to make this mesh skirt. So we're going to make this cute little mesh skirt with fringe at the bottom. This is what it looks like. And you guys should have already completed your mesh top. But this is the skirt, and I ended up adding a drawstring. So we're using the same yarn as we did before. I got this yarn from Walmart. It's comfy cotton blend, weight 3 yarn, lightweight yarn. So we have a 4mm hook, but we're going to start off with a 2.75mm hook. And it doesn't actually necessarily need to be a 2.75mm hook. It just needs to be smaller than a 4mm hook, because what we're going to be doing is making a waistband. We're making the waistband first. So what I did is I believe I did 8 foundation single crochets for my waistband. I started off with 8 foundation single crochets. You can start off your project any way you want to, but I prefer the foundation method. I do have a video on that I will put down below and up above for you guys. So after you do your 8, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to be single crocheting into the back loops only. So single crochet right into the back loop only. We're making a ribbing for your waistband, and you're going to continue doing rows of single crocheting in the back loop only for as long as you need it to fit around your waist. So you can use measuring tape, of course, if you're making it for somebody else, but if you're making it for yourself, I usually just keep going on and on until it fits around my waist the way I like it. Make sure it doesn't have to be perfect either, because I'm going to end up adding a drawstring. So if you made it a little bit too big, it's okay, because you're going to add a drawstring. It's better to make it a little bit bigger than smaller, because you have to remember you need to fit it up over your hips. So yeah, once you finish making your waistband as long as you want it to be, we're going to stitch it together using single crochet. So line up your 2 pieces properly. Make sure that it's not twisted or anything like that. And you're just going to single crochet together. So go through the first stitch and then go through the back stitch. So once you finish with that, this is what it should look like. We're not going to cut our yarn at all. We're just going to chain 1, and we're going to make a single crochet border around the perimeter of our waistband. And I'm actually going to be tucking in my loose end as I go. You don't have to. You could tuck it in later if you want. But you're just going to make a single crochet border around your waistband. Just make sure that your single crochets are evenly spaced and they're not too bunched up together or too far apart, so that it bunches up weird. So there's no perfect way, like I always say. But yeah, so just go ahead and do that all the way around. And when you get around to the front, make sure you slip stitch into that first single crochet that you did, and then you're going to chain up 4. So chain up 4 and then double crochet, skip the next stitch and double crochet over to the next one. And we're doing a mesh stitch of basically you're going to chain 1, skip next stitch, double crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the next one, So you're double crocheting into every other stitch and you're chaining one in between, and that's basically what we're going to be doing for the majority of the skirt, just like we did for the top. It's a super simple mesh pattern, and you're just going to do that all the way around till you get to the beginning, just like this. And when I got around to the beginning, I only had one stitch left, which is fine. Well, I had 2 stitches left, and what I did is I chained one and I just double crocheted right into the final stitch, and then to continue the pattern I just chained one and then slip stitched into the 3rd chain up, because remember the chain 4 counts as a double crochet chain 1, so we need to slip stitch into that 3rd chain, which is technically the top of our double crochet. So I didn't count my stitches or anything like that. It doesn't have to be an odd number. You just kind of make it work. So as you can see, I made it work. So after you do that, you're going to switch to your 4mm hook. Switch on over to your 4mm hook. And that's what we're going to be using for the rest of our project. You can put that smaller hook away. And so we're going to be continuing the pattern of chaining 4, double crocheting into the next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next double crochet. This yarn kept splitting on me. Like, I really like the yarn, but the only downfall of it is that it splits a lot. Like, it unravels a little bit. But I really like the yarn because it's so soft and it's so lightweight. So I just kind of deal with it. But anyway, keep on doing the pattern. Double crochet, chain 1, all the way around for the 2nd row. So this is what your piece should look like after doing 2 rows. So far you've done the waistband and you've done 2 rows of the mesh stitch. So now we're going to be doing hip increases. So the hip increases are going to vary for each person, obviously. But for me, what I do is I like to add 2 increases for 2 rows, and then no increases for 2 rows, and I like to alternate with that. But I'm going to show you what I do. So I continue with the pattern, chain 4, double crochet into the next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next double crochet, and I'm going to keep doing that until I get to the side here. So the side is where my hips are. So right when I get to the side, I just put an increase. So I chain 1, chain 1, and then I double crochet into the same stitch. And that's how you increase with the mesh pattern. It's basically a V stitch, which is your increase. And then you chain 1 and double crochet into the next stitch and continue with the pattern as usual until you get around to the other side and where you're going to place another increase. So when I get all the way around, I increased over here. So now when I get around to the other side over here, I'm going to add another increase. So I finished my 3rd row, and this is what it should look like. This is what your increase should look like, just like this on each side. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do another row of increasing. So when you get around to those increase on top of the same increase that you did before, just like this. I'm going to show you guys up close. So as you can see, I have 2 rows of increase on each hip. See those V stitches there? And that's 4 rows. And then you're going to do 2 more rows of no increases. So now you should have 6 rows. So far we did a waistband, 2 rows, regular rows, 2 rows of increases, and then we did 2 rows of no increases. So you're going to keep going with this until your skirt is as wide as you need it to be. So like I said here, alternate between 2 rows of increases and 2 rows of no increases until the desired width for your hips. So I did that for one more time. So I only did 4 rows of increases total. As you can see, you can clearly see where I increased. I did 2 regular rows, and then I did 2 more rows of increases, and then I measured it, and it was wide enough for me to fit around my hips. It's super easy if you're making it for yourself, because you can just try it on and see if it fits. And then you're going to continue with regular rows until the desired length. I did mine for 13 rows in total. So far, altogether, I've done 13 rows of my skirt, and that's how long I want my skirt to be. This is like a mini skirt, so this skirt is super short. But now what I'm going to do is add the cute little detailing I did on the bottom, which is also very simple. So all you're going to do is chain up 7. So chain 7, if I can. It's so difficult working with this yarn, but I got it down, y'all. I got it down. Chain up 7, and then skip 2 double crochets, and then single crochet into the next double crochet. So you're going to chain 7 again, and then single crochet into the 3rd double crochet over. So skip the first one, skip the second one, single crochet right into that next double crochet space, just like that. And it was so hard to film because like the piece was twisting around, and it was just really awkward for me to film. So sorry if it's like a little wonky, but you know, I had to make do with what I had. Just continue chaining 7 and then single crocheting. See, we're skipping 2 double crochets and then single crocheting into the next, skipping 2 double crochets, single crochet into the next. And then when you get around to the front, I only have 1 double crochet left. If you have 2 double crochet left, I would single crochet I would chain 7 and I would single crochet into that second one. But for me, I only have 1 left, so I just chain 7 and I single crochet right into the space of the first chain 7 space. So this is the front, and I'm continuing chaining 7, and now for the second row we're just single crocheting into that whole chain 7 space. So chain 7, single crochet right into the whole space. And me personally, I can tell when my rows begin and end with the chain 7 pattern. But if you need to, you can definitely use a stitch marker. Like definitely use a stitch marker. I personally didn't use a stitch marker because I didn't need to, but I would definitely recommend using one. You're just gonna go around until you get to the beginning, and when you get around to the beginning, which I am back around to I'm at the end of my second row of this chain 7 stitch, and I'm gonna do it for 1 more row, single crochet right into that space. See, we did 2 rows now of the chain 7 mesh stitch, and we're going to continue do it for 1 more row. You guys can actually do it for as many rows as you want. Keep going around and around for however long you want it to be. You don't even have to do this part. You can keep doing the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet if you want. This is optional, but I like the little detailing. So I went around and I did 1 more row, and I'm back at the end here. And now to anchor it down, I'm going to single crochet into the middle of those 7 chains, which is in the 4th chain. So I single crocheted into the 4th chain, and then I left a really long tail. I left my tail long enough and for as long as I want my fringe to be, because the next thing we're going to do is add fringe. So I left my tail all the way to basically to the floor. So when I try it on, my tail goes all the way to the floor. So when I tried my skirt on and I measured from my skirt to the floor, it measured to be around 16 inches. So when I make my fringe, I need to make sure that it doubles over. So I made my fringe 32 inches long, and then I folded it in half. And then now I'm just showing you how I add my fringe. So I'm going into that same stitch as the my tail, and I added my fringe just like that. So when you're going around your chain 7s, I added my fringe into the middle stitch, which is the 4th chain over from either side, doesn't matter which side. And I added my fringe just like that. So I have a 32-inch long piece of yarn that I folded over in half, so it's 16 inches. And I'm just showing you how I add my fringe and where I add my fringe, so you guys can just go ahead and watch. If you already know how to add fringe, you can skip to this part, but if you have no idea, hopefully this is helpful and it can explain it, or show it. Actually, showing is better than explaining for me. So in that 4th chain, for each of these chain 7 spaces in the 4th chain, that's where you're gonna be adding your fringe. You can add as much fringe or little fringe. You could go in each stitch if you want, but I just did mine and each hoe. I did 1 fringe for each hoe because I wanted the fringe to be thin. I wanted to like look delicate or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all. But you could do whatever you want. This is just a guide, you know. I'm here to guide you guys, but it's very customizable. You can do a lot with this pattern. You can change it up any way you want to. Okay, so now we're gonna start on the waistband. So you're gonna make a slip knot and leave a really long tail. You're gonna leave about a 5-inch tail when you make your slip knot, and then you're just gonna chain a chain that is long enough to fit around your body and make it to a tie. So you're making your drawstring for your waistband, and then when you finish that, of course, you need to leave a really long tail as well, around 5 inches. So this is my long chain for my waistband and my really long tails. And then to make my fringe for my waistband, I'm using my crochet case, which measures to about 5.5 inches or whatever. And then I use this to make my fringe. I wrap it around. I wrapped it around 10 times because I'm going to use 5 pieces for each side. I wrapped it around 10 times and then I cut it. I'm just showing y'all how I make my fringe. If you guys already have your own method for making fringe, go ahead and do that. But yeah, so then I take the end of my chain, the end of my drawstring, and I go through the first chain with my hook, and I grab all 5 pieces of yarn and I just pull it through. Now sometimes it can get it's hard to pull a lot of strings through, but I just go ahead and pull all 5 through. Then I don't need my hook anymore, and I'm just showing you how I tie it, and I include the end piece as well when I pull it through the middle like this. And I make sure that I pull it and make sure that it's even, pull it tight, and that's how you make your fringe for your drawstring. And make sure you only add the fringe on one side for now. Make sure you and then I trim it to make it even, but make sure you only add the fringe on one side because you need to pull your drawstring through your waistband, and it's hard to do that when you have fringe on the end. So I leave the other end naked for now. So with the end that doesn't have the fringe on it, I'm just gonna pull it through my waistband, and I like to use my 4mm hook. And I'm just showing you guys how I add the drawstring. I pull it in and out, in and out. Make sure you don't go around the piece because it'll get tangled, but you just go in and out like I'm showing you. And once again, there's no perfect place to really add it. I just kind of add it evenly spaced all the way around, so you guys can go ahead and watch that. Alright, so we added the drawstring all the way around. Make sure it's centered in the front. We added our fringe on the other side, and we're all done. This is the skirt. This is the skirt before without the drawstring, and then I ended up adding the drawstring in later, and this is what it looks like. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, please comment, like, and make sure you guys turn on that notification bell so you get all my videos. Bye.